Hello, welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews. It's Gaming Friday. I'm Gary.
And I've always known Gary loved the D.
And today we are taking a look at D, which released in 1995 on PC and PlayStation 1, Sega Saturn, Macintosh, but it was originally released on the 3DO and of course was ported to all those.
3DO.
That's what the game was made for. And it was developed by Kenji Eno at Warp and Rosner Labs Software Group.
Wow.
And this is a horror-themed interactive movie / adventure game, point-and-click horror with a 2-hour time limit. There is no pause button and no ability to save game. You are now in it to the finish.
What?
Yeah, you can't get away with it these days, can you?
Whoa, shit.
I
Somebody...
think that looks like Woody down there from Toy Story.
Woody from Toy Story.
There's a snake in my boots. So you get to play as Laura, who is our central character. She is now investigating a hospital where her father has gone missing soon after committing a mass murder spree.
Right, okay.
He pretty much just pulled a gun and killed everybody. And then the police are like, yeah, we'll send in the daughter.
Because she's after the D.
She's after the D.
The dad.
Yeah.
The D. Oh, right, okay.
I will actually say, I'm maybe at the end of the video I'll go into spoilers about what the D actually stands for.
Right.
But it doesn't stand for...
Door.
It's not door, dad, or...
Daughter.
So right now, you're exploring the hospital.
Yeah.
But the hospital soon turns into a medieval castle.
Right,
And you must explore this castle to find the D.
So is that the portal?
Kind of, yeah. It's kind of like Inception. I don't know. You're traveling into another dimension. You're actually traveling into like a manifestation of your father's psyche. You know, it's kind of like the Evil Within, kind of. You know, it's
Right. Okay.
lots of crazy ideas.
Yeah.
But this is one of the. I mean, this whole game is a CGI cut sequence. You know, it's all computer generated full motion video sequences. And it was developed over 1 year on an Amiga 4000. And this is not the first game by Kenji Eno and Warp Studios, but they were a well celebrated studio in Japan, and they would go on to make actual sequels for this game.
Yeah.
Although they're kind of sequels in name only. Now this game did very, very well in Japan. But Sony, obviously the creators of the PlayStation, they didn't produce enough copies of the game to meet the pre-orders.
Yeah.
Which really upset Kenji. And so he was like, well, fuck you, Sony. All my future titles will all be released exclusive on Sega platforms. And so...
that was a bad decision, wasn't it?
Enemy Zero, which released in 1996, went to the Sega Saturn. And D2, which was released in 1999, was exclusive to the Dreamcast.
Oh, well, there you go.
Unfortunately, Warp Studios isn't around anymore.
Surprisingly not.
But also, quite surprisingly, neither is Kenji Eno. He passed away in 2013 at the age of 42.
Savage.
Which, yeah, it's really savage.
Sonic the Hedgehog killed him.
He was an innovator. He was a creative. Not only did he help create this game, he also wrote the music for it. But he was also into lots of other things. He was into automobile construction.
Yeah.
He's a fascinating character. And one of my favorite stories about him in the creation of this game is that making a game that was going to be a horror game and having lots of, dark moments, horror kind of moments.
Yeah.
He added extra scenes of violence and cannibalism and gore to kind of make this game really striking and very memorable. But he knew it wasn't going to get past, the censors.
Yeah.
They were, and so when, so he actually made a clean version of the game and printed it on disc and submitted it to the censors.
That's the story I've heard.
And they looked at it and went, yeah, this game's clean, you're sanctioned, you're fine to print. And so he just
released it.
And so when he went to the manufacturers to print it, he swapped out the clean one and put in the naughty version.
Yeah, I heard
that was the one that was mass produced for consumption on the market.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy would do whatever he could to play the system and get his game out the way he wanted wanted it.
Yeah.
There is a kind of director's cut version of the game that was released that had even a few more kind of cut sequences that had extra gore. But yeah, it's this was the version that I had back on the PlayStation, and absolutely loved it because there was nothing else quite like it. You know, I had my Seventh Guest in 1993.
That's the game I'm thinking of when I'm looking at this, is Seventh Guest.
Yeah. You also had Phantasmagoria in 1995, and you also had Night Trap back in 1993 as well. Phantasmagoria and Night Trap, they used, pre-rendered backgrounds. Or Night Trap, it was all full motion. It was actual live actors. So was Phantasmagoria and Seventh Guest, but on, computer-generated backgrounds. Whereas this game is entirely CGI, if you will. And which is why they kind of use Laura as like her... She's kind of like one of your first digital actresses. They actually use the same voice actress throughout the games as well, which is great.
See, I remember at the time seeing adverts for this in like PlayStation magazines and shit, and it was like, oh, it's absolutely terrifying. It's scary.
I mean, you just had all those corpses in the doorway that you just saw.
But it's also the time where like Resident Evil, the first one, had just come out, and that was really scary.
Yes.
So all other games were having to be absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, good. You're trying to live up to the first Resident Evil and the first Silent Hill. It doesn't really. It's not on that level.
That was the thing. I seeing that it was a point and click game, I was just like. Younger me back in the day was not into this kind of
but I mean, it's a first-person point-and-click kind of game.
Yeah, but so was Myst and Riven. It was the
Myst
game was
Riven,
more about the puzzles, and uncovering the mystery more than the violent, scary aspect in the gameplay. So, like I said, when I saw these pictures, I'm like, yeah, it looks good. I'll play it when I get a chance. And nobody I knew. When I was younger, had a copy of D. And it probably goes back to, like you said, that they didn't make enough of it so that people could buy it.
I regret trading my copy of this game in. I should have kept it because I never forgotten this game. It always stuck with me, just because it was at a younger age, and they're not being that many horror games to this level or to this. Because I'd say this game was excellent for the time of release. Looking at the game today, it is dated badly. It's pretty ugly looking.
Well, I would argue against that, actually, Gary. I mean, like I said, comparing it to Seventh Guest and things like that, this is a game for its time. It's actually really.
You need to open the top.
Yeah, I know. I was doing it. It's really good looking to look at, like the old classic games, because of what what he did, the time he took. The fingers, the hands, the paper, the velvet pillows. We were laughing and joking, weren't we, before we started recording, of like, she doesn't have a single wrinkle on her face.
No.
Because at the time, they didn't have the technology or stuff. The most they could do is hair. Let's make it a little bit curly so that she doesn't look like a Jill Valentine. She completely stands out. The wallpaper of all the rooms. Let's make everything stand out. So I can imagine little you sat there in your bedroom, with the PlayStation on at 11 o'clock at night.
Check the fireplace as well.
Right.
So I'm backseat gaming. I know
backseat game. Always backseat gaming.
I know Dee very, very well.
And. Like I said, I was more of the action-orientated guy.
Yeah.
I had to be in a room with shooting rocket launchers into everything. But if I'd had this, I would have taken the time, because you didn't have anything else.
This game does move at a glacial pace,
Yeah.
It's very slow, and you cannot skip any of the cut sequences. You have to watch every animation, even if you're repeating going up down the same set of stairs or opening the same door.
Yeah.
You have to watch it every time. But a part of me is it's all about taking in the atmosphere of this game. The music, the decorations of all of the rooms, the paintings.
Yeah.
All of it is very ambient, and it helps create this mood that it's one of those games that I would still say there is replayability. If you've never played it before, or if you're a fan of the game and you want to play it again, turn the lights off, turn the volume up, get engrossed into the game. It's going to be over in 2 hours, whether you like it or not. Take
your time with it, because as a kid, you didn't really, unless you were doing it late at night, you didn't actually have 2 hours to spend.
No.
Your parents were like, get off that computer, get outside, stop looking at all that violence.
This was also pre-internet as well, so there was no
walkthroughs either.
No. And with there being no save game, it was like you made as much progress as you could until the 2 hours were up, and then you'd be playing it again.
But
you would also make notes on some of the puzzles so that you could advance and get further the next playthrough. And there are some devious little puzzles in the game, and there's one incredibly obnoxious, time-consuming, awful puzzle in the game that I absolutely hate. And there's a great big dial, like a big crank that you keep turning in order to make things happen so that you can progress. And watching the animation of her turning the dial all the way around again and again and again with the same sound effect, it drives you nuts. It really does. So there's the clock. There's your 2 hours. It starts at 3, ends at 5. Obviously, all your inventories there, all the things that you pick up and use. There's also a mirror, like a makeup handhold mirror.
Yeah. I've seen
Every time you look in it, the mirror reflection will actually show you the next object that you need to interact with in order to progress. But every time you do look in the mirror, it will also crack and show, and so after you've used up too many sort of hints, it will shatter, and then you can't get any more clues for the rest of the game. You can also die in the game.
I was going to say, how many death sequences are there?
There's only a few. You can only die a couple of times, and some of them, they're kind of quick time events. And if I'm trying to remember, I think the only thing that you lose is time. I think you get to replay the section. I don't think it forces you to start the game all over again.
Oh, that's a shame.
I might be wrong. It's been a while since I've replayed the game through.
Yeah, I'm going to see what's down this way first.
It's a big drum. And I think there's another doorway with a surprise to your right.
To my right? Okay, so...
But yeah, you kind of have to wait for the camera to position itself. There we go. Slowly turn.
Oh, Christ.
It's what you kind of expect to find in a dungeon.
Right, can I?
You can progress, yeah.
Yeah, go.
But you might get a small scare.
Oh,
it's game over.
Shoot ahead, how do I dodge it? How am I going to dodge?
No, it's just going to stop inches away from your face.
Ooh.
She didn't even take a step backwards. She just kind of braced to die.
Yeah. Well, after seeing those spike people in the door, I'll be like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
I'm dead. Can I go down that secret door? Because I want to go back to the drawers.
No, you can try and go down there, but Laura will just turn to the camera and be like, yeah, I ain't going down there.
Let's sit there. Come on then, Laura.
I do like that. There's quite a few expressions she has, like, now what's going on? Like, now what have I got to put up with? What kind of bullshit's this game going to throw at me now?
She's like, nope.
It's like, no. I think I'll wait.
Okay. Let's go look at those drawers then. What was it 4-2?
4-2. Yes, open drawer 4.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. I always love mirrors in games. They've taken the time to animate it.
I don't know whether it's an actual mirror or whether they are just animating another entire duplicate location behind the mirror.
Yeah. Oh, did you see that hand?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was weird.
There's some Prince of Darkness action going on here.
Father. That's the T-1000 from the future trying to kill her.
No, can't have any crossovers.
She's really surprised because she's searching for that D and she can't find none of it. There's not a D in the place.
Okay, so I think I'll go into a bit of spoiler territory for those of you that... I do recommend playing this game. You can now finally actually buy the game on Steam, which is incredible.
Nice.
And because obviously I didn't have the game anymore, I was like, great, they've released it on Steam, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
It was $4.99. You could probably get it in a sale and get it cheaper for a couple of pounds or a couple of dollars.
Yeah.
However, it ran like ass on my PC. Obviously, when you run the game, it comes up with 3 options. Like, do you just want to run the game normally? Do you want to run the game in DOS? Or do you want to open up the settings?
Are you always doing it in DOS?
So I thought I'll open up the settings. And it opened up. I literally thought I'd loaded up Windows 95. Because it came up with like, choose your sound card, Sound Blaster Pro, and I was just like, oh my god, like I want to I want to change the graphics settings. I want to run the game in 4K. I mean, I want to run the game at 1080. No, wait. I'm just going to run the game native as it should be.
Run the crank.
And all I could adjust was the sound settings. I was like, well, I'll close that down. Tried to open the game in DOS. Tried to open the game normally.
Yeah, but you'd fucked it by that point.
Well, I gave it the D.
You gave it the D.
And but the game ran, but all of the game was kind of, it had the black parallel lines running throughout the entire image.
Yeah.
And that's, because of the original sort of game compression. It's like the original Command & Conquer games, all the cut sequences, they've got the black lines.
Yeah.
And that's because it's, they can't process all of the pixels. So it's, half of it's removed and replaced with black parallel lines.
Yeah.
The entire game ran like that in DOS and on PC. And I was like, that's not the way I remember it. I remember it looking a lot better on the PlayStation. So we are now running the game on an emulator. Which works a hell of a lot better than its PC counterpart. But
if you still have it on the PlayStation and a PlayStation to play it on, then you should definitely play it on the original.
Well, it's kind of, I think it's fairly expensive to get hold of now. You might find some cheap copies games on eBay. It's a rare game. It sold very well in Japan, but like I said, they didn't make that many copies. The game didn't sell very well in Europe or in America either, and so back then the game stores would literally send returned games back to the manufacturer and just be like, this was returned, so have it back.
Yeah.
And so the game studios would just be sat there with their own copies of the game.
Everybody had Resident Evil by that point.
Yeah. Resident Evil and Silent Hill were the dominant horror, and Alone in the Dark.
Well, this is it. This kind of graphical play, was going out the window by that point. People didn't want to see these slow pre-rendered cut sequences. Yeah, they look beautiful at a time, but we were changing then. I mean, personally,
this was innovative. No one had tried to do this.
Oh yeah,
a game like this before.
Yeah, nobody had tried because they didn't have the technology at that point. But then by the time they had, and then they released it, they were going, like I said, they were going up against Resident Evil, and then they were having to go up against Resident Evil 2, which is a far fucking superior game to even its first counterpart. This, like I said, this takes me back to Phantasmagoria and the Seventh Guest, and would have done well at that time. Would have probably have sold a lot better.
Right.
On a PlayStation, when we had the likes of Tekken, Destruction Derby, Twisted Metal, Doom, Duke Nukem, fucking Resident Evil, you were gonna get the D. You're gonna lose the D, mate.
So I'll get into the D, and I'll explain what it actually
give me
means.
Some D.
So I mean, so spoiler warning: if you ever did want to go and play this game, I'm gonna spoil the ending for you. The D actually stands for, I'll give you a clue, but a pretty big clue. If you think of horror and classic Dracula. Yeah, I know. This is all because of Dracula. You're in Dracula's castle.
So what's the dad?
No. Basically, I mean, it's not actually, Dracula's kind of responsible, but he's not in the game. But you are a descendant of Dracula's bloodline. And so your father he kind of knew about it and kind of kept it under control, but because he was a scientist, he was just like, I actually want to figure out what this whole bloodline actually is, and so he kind of experimented and lost control. And at the end of the game, this game actually has two endings.
Okay.
Where you can kind of let your dad kind of go with it, and then he eats you, he kind of drains your blood and kills you, or you'll find a gun towards the middle part of the game, and you'll actually shoot and kill your dad, and he'll be like, thank you, you've released me from the curse of Dracula's bloodline.
Okay.
And then you'll kind of the castle turns back into the hospital, and Laura kind of leaves.
What number am I looking for?
I could tell you.
Yeah, tell me.
It's 78.
Oh, is it?
The clue for finding it is actually you now have the crank so that you could go to where the wall comes at you.
Oh, right, yeah.
So you can crank there, and that'll tell you how to solve this puzzle.
I'm going to Jason Statham all the way over there. It's the crank joke there.
Yeah. But yeah, that puzzle that you were just doing on it stops on whatever first number you stop the crank at, but the second one, it always changes like 6 or 7 places after you drop it. So you want to drop the second number on a 1 or a 2 to move it up to 8.
Right. Okay. So wow. I mean, yeah, fucking replayability in this. If you do not use the internet and you want to really challenge yourself, you could play this, fail, make your notes, fucking go back, get quicker, get faster, punish yourself to get to the end of this fucking game,
Well, I wouldn't say you're punishing yourself. I mean, I've replayed the game, and I've got the massive nostalgia for it. I loved this game when it came out.
How many times did it take you before you actually completed and got the ending?
Quite a few times.
Quite a few is not a fucking number. I want a number.
6 or 7 times.
6 or 700?
No, 6 or 7 times. But I played it a lot. I kept playing it until you're making progress every time. And I've looked online at other people's thoughts and opinions on the game, and a lot of people are like, I finished the game in 35 minutes. And I'm just like, jeez, like you must have used a guide, or you must have played it before.
Yeah, totally.
There are some puzzles that are real head scratchers. You're like, how am I supposed to figure that out?
Yeah. I mean, do I have to put the crank? I have to put the crank on the barrel.
Yes, yeah.
Makes sense.
And that'll actually retract the spikes on the wall.
Uh-huh. See, the simplicity in it as well with these old style games, like the stuff is like right nearby.
Yeah.
So you fail the first time, you go back, and you can get a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Like, to tell you the truth, the crank sequence in Resident Evil 1's a lot scarier than this crank sequence, and there's so much more space, but I don't know, there's a novelty here.
Yeah. I still think that if you're a fan of the horror genre, you could play this game and enjoy the atmosphere of the game for a couple of hours, especially if you can get the game cheap, and especially if you played the game before and never finished it, and you still remember it. It's a great game to come back to, play once, and have it in your library. It's like an old film that you used to love.
Yeah, you're like, I remember D. I love the D. I saw the D yesterday. Actually, I just kind of
got right up in your face.
I rubbed it. I rubbed the D all up on my face. I had it in both hands. I just felt it on both. Sorry, too far.
So, as you'll see, this door has the 78 number, right. There you go.
Right.
But it's locked. And in order to get the key, which is a ring, you're going to have to go back to that other box, put the number 78 in it, to get the ring off the finger, off the skeleton that was in the other room, to come all the way back here. She's just shrugging her shoulders like, I guess I'm going to walk all the way back.
Shit, and now.
I should also say that this game on the PlayStation came on 3 discs. Which was unheard of.
The big black thick box. Yeah.
I mean, it's like Final Fantasy, the 60+ hour long adventure game. Yeah. It was on 3 discs, and then you get D, which is also on 3 discs.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people would say this game has a poor replay value, and I kind of agree, because once you've finished it, it's not a game you're going to go and replay immediately.
I was going to say, the ending you said wasn't exactly, I need to see that again to find out.
But I still consider this game a classic. It's definitely historically notable for its achievements.
Yeah.
It's very atmospheric. It's really unforgettable. And so, yeah, I definitely recommend D. But I have the nostalgia for it. I love horror games. And for me, this one, it goes up there with the greats of its time. It has aged, I would say, badly. But still... a lot of games do age badly.
Yeah. I do recommend this one just because I'm an old school fucking gamer, and like I said, I never got to play this back in the day, and I'm playing it now, and I can't really stop. I want to keep going. You know,
keep exploring and see what's in the next room.
I'm the kind of guy that goes, look, it doesn't matter about the graphics, it doesn't matter about the gameplay, it doesn't matter about anything as long as the game works. For me personally, I played a lot of tough, shitty games back in the day, and all it had to do was work for that period. If I'd had this, I'd have blasted through Resident Evil, and I would have tried to do this. I might not have completed it because it might have annoyed me, but the fact that it's I turn too far. You know, the fact that I would get to the end and go, right, I don't need to go down to that door. I just need to come here and put in 78.
Yes.
And just get the thing straight away. And maybe I'd have completed quicker and been like, and maybe have pushed myself faster and faster to see how fast I could complete it.
So you'd have more time then to do the later puzzles, which would be new to you. Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it's all trial and error. And, it's just, come on, I got it on the 0. What am I after? I'm after
78.
78, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
so
You can stop it on the 7 if you can.
7. Lucky dog.
You got to get used to the slowdown of the timing of the button. Yeah.
And it's just, and if I can, so if I can get it to stop 3, then
it's going to count up probably to 9.
5,
it might stop on. It changed.
6. So yeah, see, so that was 3. So I need it on 5. Need that number to be on 5.
So I'm going to bring this video to a close. I just want to say thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back next Friday to look at another video game. Of course, new film reviews on Thursdays.
It's our Halloween series as well. I'm just going to throw that in so everyone knows.
Of course. Yeah, we're currently making our way through the George A. Romero series of films. So tune in next week for Dawn and possibly Day of the Dead.
Ooh.
Thanks for watching, everyone. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Patreon. See you next time.